And welcome back to the Crypto Hulk program. Had a little catchy title. We had a catchy, a nice little catchy title we're going to go over today. You know, we have to make decisions on things. Sometimes we don't know exactly what's going to happen. With crypto, you got to act fast because if you don't know, you can get wrecked real quick. There's something that happened today, well, that I found out in the past 24 hours. It deals with Telcoin. Some people can keep it. Some people might want to dump it. We're going to go over both sides of this argument. And you, on this one, you have to do what you think you got to do. So I'm going to present evidence on both sides of this coin. And I'm going to let you hear what the CEO says. And then you have to kind of make your own decision, whether you're right or you're wrong. I mean, that's just how things go. Some people like the Root Network. I don't know what happened to that thing. It was a great crypto. Grok at first was like, oh, everything's fine with it. Everything's fine. And then at the end, Grok's like, oh, looks like, yeah, it's wiped out. Well, I was asking Grok for like a whole year what's going on with it. And so that's the thing. Sometimes you don't know. No, maybe Root Network comes back. I have no idea. I can only go on the facts. I can only go on what I see. People make mistakes, and that's how it is. For me, I'd rather, if I'm seeing warning signs, I'd rather get out of something. And if I'm wrong, then I put my money into Ondo. So I'm taking money out of a good crypto and into another good crypto. Okay. So it's just that we're going to go over Telcoin. We're going to go over what they did. They filed a patent because they're trying to merge into like a bank deposit coin or something like that. The Telcoin is like more for gas and stuff. But we're going to look into it, and you'll have to make up your own decision. I had to have a little catchy little title. It creates a little bit of fun in the crypto community. But we're going to look into this on both ends, and you'll have to make your own decision. I can't tell you what to do because my name's Crypto Hulk. I'm not a financial advisor, not a crypto advisor, none of the above. I do about 10 metric tons a day of heroin and cocaine. Not a big deal. Don't buy anything I tell you to buy. Don't sell anything I tell you to sell. The show's for entertainment purposes only. I'd be the worst person you ever want to get financial or crypto advice from. Okay. Let us look into this Tether. Now, I have an email here at Telcoin.com. So if you go to telcoins.com, at X, let's look at this. At Telcoin. Let me do a copy paste for yous. Stephen Morris says rookie numbers. Hulk's only 10 metric. Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, focus. At Telcoin. Now we're on X, and we're looking at Telcoin's page. We have filed a provisional patent for a stablecoin smart contract with embedded deposit functionality, merging payment stablecoin and deposit token concepts into a singular on-chain dollar that can operate within the banking system rather than draining liquidity out of it. Somebody writes in the comments, this is a really interesting direction. Building stablecoins that work with the banking system instead of against it is a narrative more people should be talking about. I've actually got an idea I'd love to share with the Telcoin team. Somebody says I'm actually buying another $10,000 of Telcoin. So let's look at what's going on. And I saw this. I wanted to bring to people's attention right away. And we're going to look at this. Now, I have an email here that I can't quite share. So I'm just going to kind of read some stuff off. This person asked Grok, owning IP essentially drives the chain. Owning IP, if I was a banking CEO, how would I want to go as far as scenario? Of course, they're good for my shareholders, but what's good for Telcoin? That's exactly how I think about it. If I were a bank CEO, my job isn't to make Telcoin successful. It's to maximize long-term shareholder value while managing risk. So I'd ask, do I build, buy, or partner? Option one, build it myself. If I'm JP Morgan, I have thousands of engineers and billions in technology budgets. I'd probably build my own deposit token, keep full control of customer deposits, keep all transaction revenue, and own the technology roadmap. The downside is it could cost hundreds of millions of dollars in several years. Option number two, license the IP. So this is what Telcoin possibly might do, is license their technology. If I'm a $20 billion or $50 billion regional bank, I may think, why spend $100 million building this when I can license proven technology? That's where Telcoin could shine. Benefits of the bank: faster deployment, lower development costs, regulatory framework already established, proven interoperability, predictable license cost. Benefits to Telcoin: reoccurring license revenue, more institutions on the network, stronger ecosystem. I'll explain this here in a second. Option number three, join a consortium. This is what banking historically does. Banks often don't like depending on a single vendor, so they create or join a shared infrastructure. Think about Visa, MasterCard, Swift, ACH, and the clearinghouse. A consortium could license Telcoin's technology while governance is shared among participating institutions. That would reduce concentration risk and make banks more comfortable adopting it. What would make me as a CEO choose Telcoin? I'd have to ask 5 questions. Does it save me money? Does it attract deposits? Will regulators approve it? Or can I integrate it with my existing systems? Does Telcoin have a competitive advantage? What would be the best for Telcoin? The most valuable outcome is not necessarily everyone using a single Tel-branded stablecoin. The higher value outcome is becoming the operating system for tokenized deposits. Imagine this: 2,000 banks, each issues its own deposit token. All use Telcoin's patented architecture. Every transaction pays a tiny license or a network fee. That's similar to how Visa earns money, not by holding deposits, but by providing rails. The biggest prize: if the patent truly covers a fundamental way of combining a stablecoin with a regulated bank deposit, the real asset isn't the token, it's the IP. Think of companies like ARM, Qualcomm, Dolby, which is audio technology. None of them dominate by selling the end product. They dominate because others license technology that's difficult to replicate without infringing. Everyone uses one Telcoin branded dollar, less likely. Large banks generally want to own the customer relationship and their deposit liabilities. This also ties into the broader tokenization thesis you've been building. Infrastructure providers, whether it's Chainlink for oracles, CFG for tokenized assets, Canton for institutional interoperability, or potentially Telcoin for tokenized deposits, often create more durable value when enabling the ecosystem rather than trying to own every customer. If Telcoin patent ultimately proves broad, enforceable, and commercially useful, the long-term value would likely come from being part of the financial plumbing rather than having every American hold a Telcoin-issued stablecoin. Now, let's look here. I did a little grok look into this. Let's hear what Grok has to say about Telcoin coming out with a patent. Owning the IP is the most durable moat. Everything else, the charter, the US dollar product, the wallet, the GSMA relationship, is execution. The provisional patent filed late July 2026 is the clearest signal yet of how Telcoin wants to position itself. The patent description is explicit. Telcoin's trying to make a stablecoin smart contract with embedded depository functionality that merges a payment stablecoin and a deposit token into a single on-chain dollar designed to operate inside the banking system, rather than pull liquidity out of it. That is not a retail stablecoin pitch. That is an infrastructure claim. So are you seeing what's going on? Telcoin, they're not trying to create like a bank. They're trying to create a crypto that works in the banking system. So part of what I'm seeing is this Clarities Act will pass, but you and me are not going to be able to have stable coins. Let's look over this again. Telcoin has a patent. They're trying to merge. They're trying to bring two things together, a stable coin and a deposit token into a single on-chain dollar designed to operate inside the banking system. This is not a retail stablecoin pitch. So retail is like you and me. Whatever they're doing right now doesn't involve anything with you and me. This is about creating a banking infrastructure. I'm not saying the coin necessarily won't be used, the Telcoin. I'm talking about the patent that we're dealing with right here. And how could that affect the future of Telcoin, the company, and eventually the coin itself? Now, Grok says, how a bank CEO would actually think about this. Build it myself. JP Morgan. Okay, they have the budgets. We already talked about this. License the IP. So Grok saying this is the highest probability path for the next tier of banks, the 10 to 100 billion regional and community institutions. Patrick Gerhardt, who's the CEO of Telcoin, has already said publicly that only the top 5% of banks can build digital asset capabilities in-house. The rest need a faster, cheaper, regulatory, cleaner route. what it's looking like is these banks are going to have, the banks aren't going to go out of business. They're going to make sure that whatever crypto laws pass, that cryptos don't interfere with the banking system. And the banks make all the money they can make. The Telcoin CEO wants the ability to offer their own customers an on-chain deposit product that still sits on their balance sheet. The Telcoin CEO wants clear regulatory treatment that they can plug into. They want interoperability with the FedNow system, which they already have. Let's look here. Telcoin's ideal commercial outcome is not everyone uses EUSD. It is 2,000 banks issue their own branded deposit coins and digital cash using the patented architecture. Everyone's improvement pays a tiny licensing or network fee. This is classic Rails economics. What we're probably looking at is Telcoin merging into a company that's designed for bank infrastructure, where they're using a bank coin, not a retail-facing coin as their top moneymaker. A consortium or a shared utility. Historically, this is what banks prefer when the technology is systemic. They create or join a utility so no single vendor captures too much rent and governance is shared. Telcoin's first mover charter plus patent gives them leverage to be the technology core of any such consortium rather than a pure participant. Now, this could be very, very, I don't know how all this turns out. This could turn out really, really good for the Telcoin company, but that doesn't mean, I'm not talking about the token. I'm talking about the company utilizing their technology and giving it to the banks, okay? The pure, everyone uses one Telcoin branded dollar. So they're looking at possibly using this Telcoin dollar, which is a deposit token stablecoin. We're not talking about the Telcoin token itself. That's something separate. Telcoin wants to possibly, they've already made a patent for it, so you know it's probably going to happen. They're trying to make a stablecoin governance token. And that's what the banks will use, and maybe people will carry, okay? So this is not the Telcoin token that we're talking about here. Let's see. Now, you got a consortium or multi-bank licensing of the patent architecture. You have a couple ways the Telcoin with this brand new stablecoin tokenized deposit, they're creating a new crypto. Telcoin is creating a new crypto, one that can be like a consortium where all the banks join together to use this. The next option is they can have a broad license to regional and community banks. The next option, number 3, large banks license specific patent features while building the rest themselves, or a dominant single issuer EUSD. That would be the least likely. So Telcoin has this technology. It involves having a separate token, not the Tel token, not the Telcoin token. They're having their own separate architecture, a whole new platform, and a whole new stable coin. They're not talking about Telcoin here. They're talking about having this technology and what they should do with it. License it to banks, create a whole new system, this, that. There's 4 possibilities that the CEO talked to the shareholders about, said, look, the responsibility for the CEO is to help the Telcoin company, not the token. The Telcoin token, that's not the priority for a CEO. What is that Telcoin token? That's a retail token. Not saying it's going away. I just want you to be aware that something's brewing at Telcoin headquarters. They have a whole new platform and a whole new stable coin. Let's call it a crypto. So they got Telcoin and they got this new coin, okay? That's what we got going on over there at Telcoin. Now, this is not yet public, this particular brand new crypto, but the strategic intent. What is the strategic intent of this new coin? Solve the exact tension regulators and banks keep raising. How do you get blockchain speed and programmability without draining deposits into non-bank stable coins? So what Telcoin designed here is a crypto that won't drain banks. This is a crypto that you're not going to be able, what I'm seeing, the trend. Look, Telcoin wouldn't have made this. They know the stable coins, the earning interest on stable coins. They already know. The whole banking system knows we're not going to get this, you and me. Okay. So Telcoin creates a crypto and a whole platform that the whole banking system can use, and involves you and me not getting our crypto that we're going to get is not going to earn interest. Whether Telcoin switches over to this coin, look, why would they? Look, they've already tested this. Anytime they're going to bring a patent, they already know it works. They got a patent, they got a whole platform, and they have a new coin. And they're going to release this thing. I don't know when, in the next 12 to 18 months, okay? Let's take a look. Now, they could use also the Telcoin itself. Maybe the Telcoin's just for you and me. Maybe all the banks use the stable coin. I don't know exactly, okay? I found this information out. I wanted to give it to you right away. I haven't had time to thoroughly study this, but this is something you should be aware of. If it does not affect Telcoin, great. If it helps Telcoin token, great. But if this is something where it might be all bad, you'd want to know right away. So that's why I'm bringing it to you right away, to where you can evaluate this yourself. You can do a Grok search and look up information. I'd rather bring you information the minute I find it and have you make a decision on what you want to do than not tell you, wait a week or two, and by then, oh shit, maybe it's too late. Everybody dumps it, right? I'm not telling anybody to dump stuff. I use a nice little catchy phrase, maybe a little clickbaity, okay? But this is something that's actually important, isn't it? Wouldn't you want to know? Shouldn't I grab your attention and alert you to something? Hey, you might want to do some research on your own also. This could be very, very good or very, very bad, okay? This also fits the broader infrastructure thesis cleanly. The highest value propositions in tokenization tend to be the enabling layers, interoperability, Oracle deposit token architecture, rather than consumer-facing branded product. Telcoin is trying to occupy the deposit token architecture slot the same way others are competing for different layers of the stack. What Telcoin's looking at is not the consumer-facing product. That's the Telcoin itself. That's what me and you hope to get rich off of, okay? That's not their concern. Their concern is the banking industry itself, having a token for the banking industry to use, okay? The next 12 to 18 months will tell us a lot. How broad the full patent claims are, whether other banks start quiet commercial conversations, and whether Nebraska's DADI model gets replicated or federalized in a way that favors first movers working with IP. Until then, the CEO logic remains the same. Maximize long-term franchise value and control the risk. For most banks, that still points toward licensing or consortium participation rather than pure greenfield builds. For Telcoin, that path is one that turns a single bank charter into industry plumbing. So this could be a very big thing for you and me, or it could be a very bad thing. So what we got, what actually drives the Telcoin? Native gas token. Tel is the native gas token of the Telcoin network. The long-term bull case is straightforward. If meaningful volumes of digital cash, which is the US dollar and other currencies remittances, settle on the Telcoin network, then gas demand, staking, and network usage create sustained demand for Telcoin. A portion of gas fees is designed to be burned and generated in a way that ties to network activity of the token. So if this Telcoin and becomes part of this our whole system, then that Telcoin will have a tremendous value, a lot of value. So the Telcoin will be good if the whole, you got to think, will the whole banking system be revolutionized by Telcoin? That's what you're gambling on right now. So it went from being a crypto to now possibly merging. They could use this technology, this platform of Telcoin, and the actual stablecoin deposit token that's brand new. They could use that, but then are they going to use the Telcoin? That's the question. The bank, so here's what Grok says. It's not me, it's what Grok is saying. The bank and the EUS dollar stablecoin that they just created does not automatically flow value to the Telcoin holders, you and me. The bank, the success of that brand new platform, the stablecoin, and the deposit token they just created does not mean that will create value to your Telcoin. I just want to put that out there, okay? The bank is a regulated subsidiary. Its revenue, deposit spreads, and any future licensing of the deposit token or the architecture primarily accrue to the company, not to the token. So this thing could get wildly successful. It doesn't mean your Telcoin is going to go up. This is what Grok is saying. Let me copy this for you. The problem with YouTube's, I can't copy that much at once. Token, let me look here. Here's the rest of that paragraph. So let me read it. The bank and EUSD, that's what they created, this platform and their stablecoin tokenized deposit. It's all one. It's separate from the Telcoin token. So that success does not automatically flow into Telcoin holders, okay? The bank is a regulated subsidiary. Its revenue, deposit spreads, and any future licensing of the deposit token architecture primarily accrued to the company, not to the token, which is Telcoin, okay? What they're going to do is you got the Telcoin they already invented, okay? This is a whole separate project. It has its own token. It's not Telcoin. They have their own token, a brand new token that is a stablecoin deposit token put together. And this platform, which is not Telcoin, that's what they have, a whole new platform and a token. If they let banks buy it, sell it, lease it, whatever, the money from that goes into the company of Telcoin, not the token. Okay, this is what Grok is saying. If it talks about its revenues that it gets go primarily to they accrue to the company, not to the token. Multiple independent analyses have pointed this out. The charter strengthens legitimacy and the overall ecosystem narrative, but the direct cash flow link to Telcoin remains unproven, mostly indirect. So, in short, the bank success doesn't equal an automatic claim on bank profits for Telcoin holders. When the bank creates a whole new platform and a whole new token. Separate that with a wall to Telcoin token, okay? Now, the bank has this revolutionary technology that all the other banks in the world could benefit from. But just because that bank makes money doesn't mean that the money is going to go into your Telcoin, okay? Now, maybe the banks don't adopt the Telcoin, the brand new one. It says here, network adoption fails to materialize at scale. Maybe the banks don't want to use it. Maybe somebody else invents something else. The telecom validator model has been a pitch for years. If mainnet usage stays low and digital cash activity stays on other chains, gas demand stays limited. So what the Telcoin acts as is gas, okay? If the banks of the world don't adopt this, that Telcoin's not going to go up in value. But then again, banks of the world might adopt this, and it still doesn't mean Telcoin goes up in value because they're not using the Telcoin. Telcoin is gas on the Telcoin network. This is a whole new network. So, I know. If the bank thrives, but the token stays mostly a governance gas asset with thin real demand, price can stagnate even as the company succeeds. Oh. So that one's interesting. If the bank thrives, because remember, this whole new platform and token is not dependent on the Telcoin itself. Oh. So the bank and this whole new network can thrive, but Telcoin remaining mainly a governance token with thin demand, price can stagnate even if the company succeeds. What has to happen for Telcoin is moving the needle of a $96 billion circulating supply requires. So Telcoin has 96 billion circulating supply. That's going to require very large capital inflows, very large sustained network volume. What about competition? Other regulated deposit tokens, bank tokens, and potential federal frameworks could reduce Telcoin's uniqueness over time. Bottom line. So it's not that Telcoin's going to become worthless. Grok's saying it does not look worthless. The project has real regulatory progress and a patent aimed at the deposit token architecture. Telcoin as the network gas and governance. However, Grok says, the token, which is Telcoin, is still a leveraged bet on the network becoming the settlement layer for meaningful digital cash volume, not a direct equity like claim on a bank. The bank is a strong positive catalyst for the overall story, but the economic linkage to retail tel holders is indirect and execution dependent. High circulating supply makes large appreciation require genuine scale. So I asked Grok again, and Grok's looking at this Telcoin patent. In plain English, this patent they just came up with is a technical method that lets a single on-chain dollar act as both as a payment stablecoin and a regulated bank deposit at the same time, so it doesn't drain deposits out of the banking system. This gets bad here. This kind of IP is valuable precisely because it can be licensed. So this intellectual property that Telcoin made, the token and the platform, it can be licensed. A bank could theoretically license Telcoin's brand new crypto and platform. They could implement it on their own infrastructure or on Ethereum /Base /Solana or somebody else. They could issue their own branded deposit tokens and never touch the Telcoin network or the Tel token. Oh. So we don't know what's going to happen. I'm usually trying to get ahead of something before something bad happens. I'm not telling you what to do. You got to make the decision on your own. Telcoin, the company, could take this brand new token. Why do they have a brand new token, CryptoHawk? What's wrong with the old one? They're creating a new token. You got Telcoin, which acts as like a gas token, and there's 96 billion of them, so they're going to have to get rid of a lot of those suckers by burning them up. Or they have to have just a ton of world's money come into this token to make it worth anything. The problem is they made this platform, this brand new revolutionary platform with stablecoin deposit token. It's a 2-in-1. They could, the president, the CEO was talking about the future of Telcoin and what are they going to do. They could license this out, this technology, to all these other banks, and these other banks don't have to use Telcoin. So the CEO, I think, was kind of telling people in advance, if you got the Telcoin, you might want to dump it. But I don't know. This is all a judgment call for you. Now you have to bet, will Telcoin, the actual token, be used? See, Grok's just saying, they on this brand new platform with the brand new token, you don't need to use Telcoin. Oh, you could use something else. Oh, just so I'd let you know. So banks could put this brand new architecture that they just made on Ethereum, Base, Solana, or whatever it is, and use it, and not use Telcoin itself, but use something else. So I don't know. To me, I have very limited information. I just found this out yesterday. I haven't had time to study this for a couple weeks and see what everybody's saying. I thought I would just tell you in advance, hey, maybe Telcoin becomes wildly famous, okay? Now, Paul Neuner, NER, and the team have not come out and said, we're just going to license the software and the token is optional. They haven't said that. The bank is positioned as a regulated issuer of digital cash that can also serve as correspondent partner for the community and regional banks. So some of these banks will use the Telcoin coin. See, it's a thing where, does a bank want to use the Telcoin itself, or do they want to use the platform and their stable coin and stuff? But as far as gas fees, some banks can use something else. They don't need Telcoin. Some banks will use the Telcoin, okay? But those are going to be smaller banks that are not as big. Most smaller banks can't meet the financial and compliance burden alone, so they can team up with Telcoin Digital Asset Bank. So let me do a copy paste to show you. It's not that Telcoin's going to disappear, although possibly it could. Generally, what's probably going to happen, according to Grok, is the smaller banks that are poor are going to use the Telcoin. Now, the longer-term vision includes the Telcoin network as the settlement layer, where digital cash activity is supposed to live at scale. TEL is the gas and governance token of the network. So Telcoin company is simultaneously at the same time pursuing two paths. The first path, the bank and IP path. You have regulated issuance, patented architecture that the other banks can license or partner with. That's one path. The other path they have is the network, the Telcoin network path. TEL is the native asset that powers activity on the Telcoin validated chain. Now, what is the tension? The real tension for the retail token. Grok said, you're identifying the key risk correctly. So what is Grok? Because I was concerned. If the highest value outcome is pure software IP licensing, and the activity mostly stays on other chains or private bank rails, then Telcoin's role becomes much thinner. The token's strongest claim to long-term relevance is that meaningful volume of this new form of digital cash ends up settling on the Telcoin network, creating sustained gas demand and network effects. Right now, the public messaging still ties the two together, but the patent itself does not force that linkage. Licensing the method does not automatically require licensing to use Telcoin. Oh. So, bottom line, what's the bottom line here? Yes, from the way the patent is described, this is according to Grok. I'm not saying any of this. I am not saying a thing. I'm just reporting what Grok is saying, okay? Because I don't know what's going to happen. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. Bottom line, yes, from the way the patent is described and from the bank's stated interest in helping other institutions, it is entirely possible that the most commercially successful version of Telcoin's banking strategy involves licensing the architecture in ways that do not create strong direct demand for the Telcoin token. Oh. This does not make the token worthless today, but it does mean the token's upside is more dependent on the network actually capturing settlement volume than on the bank charter or the patent alone succeeding. The bank and the intellectual property can win while the token stays relatively disconnected. Oh, if the company chooses to keep the two somewhat separate. So this here's where the rubber meets the road. The rubber meets the road. You've got all of a sudden now, Telcoin creates a platform. They create a whole new brand new token. It's a hybrid token. It's a stablecoin bank deposit. It's a whole new way of doing things that don't require Telcoin token. Oh. That stinks. You can still use the Telcoin token. Will banks use it? The poor ones will. The small, tiny ones will. But the bigger ones probably are not going to. They're going to have their own settlement token, gas token, whatever. They don't need to run it on the Telcoin network. It says you can run it on Ethereum, you can run it like anything, whatever it is. Oh, so exclusivity, it's no longer exclusive. It doesn't have to be on the Telcoin network anymore. So you've got to play Zoltar the fortune teller on this one. You all will have to take your own risk on this one. Telcoin, according to it's not going away. It just won't be mandatory that it has to be used. So you like Stellar is the token for that network. Okay, the Lumen is the token for the Stellar network. The XRP is the token for that network. All these networks have token. The Ondo token is so they all have their own token and platforms. And this one is, I think, just like a lot of tokens where maybe you don't have to use that token on that network. Again, I just found the information out less than 8 hours ago, maybe 10 hours ago, something like that. And I thought I'd get you this information right away. Maybe it's a nothing burger. Maybe it's a something burger. I don't know. And like this, if you buy 25 cryptos, 1 or 2 or 5 are going to be duds or whatever, right? Like you're going to have cryptos that fail. And I don't know if this is one that wins or loses. This is one where you have to now make a choice. You're at a point where you found out some information very early. Do you stay in? Do you cut your losses in half? Maybe you keep half. I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. Telcoin's not disappearing. Are they trying to FUD people out? Is this just news that's good for Telcoin and people are thinking that's bad? I don't know. Let me see some comments in here. Well, I mean, the price of Telcoin's already low. I mean, it's got 2 zeros. Let me look up the price of it. I don't think they're trying to dump the price necessarily. It's already about as low as you can get. I mean, you can always get more zeros, but my point is it's already like not even a penny. Telcoin. Okay, it's already 0.001. So Telcoin came about in 2019. When it's kind of funny, but during the COVID years, it kind of went up. And then when COVID kind of ended, so did the value of this coin. It just dumped. That's very bizarre why that would happen. It's like 1 year after COVID hit, this thing went up to 6 cents and then down to 4 and then hit a penny and then went below that. In a whole year, like 1 year after COVID started, this crypto shot up and then slowly kind of dumped. Yeah, it's just very strange. So it's 0.001. I don't think they're trying to dump the price. It's already about as low as you can get. Okay, so yeah, somebody said like with XDC, there's lots of news. You know, this is what like I'm telling you. You know, we don't know. If you have money in this coin, can you afford to lose what's in it? Maybe look at it like this. Maybe don't touch it. Leave it alone. Maybe only pull out the money you could afford to lose in the coin. Well, Crypto Hulk, I only got $500 in. Okay, don't touch it. Can you afford to lose $500? Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. How does this post benefit the company? Because they have proprietary software and a brand new coin that's not a threat to the banking system. Now, depending on what they do with this, like I was telling you, they could turn this into a consortium. They could get all the banks to agree that this will be the coin, and they all could use it for mutual benefit. But it doesn't mean they have to use the Telcoin token. They could, and then they couldn't. See, this is all a gamble with crypto. You have to understand, it's all a gamble. I don't have the clear-cut answer on what to do. I don't know what the banks are going. I don't run a fortune teller show here. What I do is I give you evidence. So you're finding out early. So you have a choice. You have a choice on what to do with this coin and all your coins. They invented a platform and a brand new token. Something that won't drain bank deposits. This acts like a bank token, a tokenized deposit. So the Telcoin is like for settlement and gas fees. Somebody's like, ask Zoltar. Oh my gosh, dude. Losses are part of business. Hold it like XDC. Somebody's going to put theirs into Ondo or whatever. Yeah, man. So I have to just report this to you from both sides. An event like this could be bad and it could be good. I have to use a title to the show to grab attention because not everybody watches all my shows. This is one you need to watch. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do or have done. This is one where this is brand new. I don't have all the answers to this, man. We'll see how this plays out. But Telcoin all of a sudden now comes up with, was this planned out? How do they all of a sudden just come out with a whole new platform and a token? Sounds kind of suspicious. It sounds to me, well, then why would they make the Telcoin to just dump it with this? So I don't have the answer. You're going to have to figure that out yourself. I'm here to bring up the topic, to explain both sides, keep it, sell it, because I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. This is one where if you sell it and you've got millions of it and it goes to $1, oh shit. If it goes to $5, I can't tell you what it goes up to. I'm here to help you think, but you've got it. What it comes down to is, do you want to risk? If you've got money in it and you can maybe Telcoin CEO was paid a visit by a 3-letter A. Oh. Yeah. I just, I wish I could tell you what to do, but I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do or what I could do because I don't. This could go either way. This could go. I don't want you to sell it or keep it. I can't tell you. This one, you've got to risk it. I don't have enough info now. I don't have enough banking experience. Look, I'm not the financial advisor. I'm not the bank. I'm just some guy that has reasonable common sense. and a good ability to deep dive. And I communicate ideas. And then with all this sharing of information that we have, that's why I have a top chat, you're going to have to figure out what direction is this going. Do you want to take a risk? Yes or no? It comes down to, do you want to take a risk with this? They've got a whole new platform. Why the fuck do they do all that? What's wrong with the old Telcoin? Maybe because they feel banks. See, maybe they made this whole new platform because they know we're not going to be able to get yield on stable coins. They already kind of knew this, so they made up. I don't know. Do they know stuff before we know stuff? Oh, yeah. The banking industry knows exactly what's going to happen. They just don't tell us until the end. Daniel Garcia says, sometimes you need to take a risk in order to make money. Very true. That's very interesting. This is kind of fun. What we got going on now is kind of fun because it's risky and you could make a lot or lose a lot on this one. This one's a risk. But then again, is it? What about other? Hey, we're going to get blindsided. We have just started. I told you along the way, cryptos that are good are going to somehow go bad. I'm not saying this one, but at some point, we're going to have a good crypto. Then all of a sudden, it'll just kind of shoot sideways. And you're like, what? What the hell just happened? Cable Guy says, Telcoin equals fundraiser. Oh, no, that's a possible angle. But I don't know, man. All this is possible. I don't know. I don't see Telcoin as like a pump dumper. I don't see him as that. It's a legitimate, from what I've seen, Telcoin. I have to preface by saying, from what I've seen, Telcoin seems totally legit. It's working with the state government. It's not here today, gone tomorrow. But then again, who does Telcoin represent? Shareholders, banks, not you and me. Okay, that's fair, Cryptoholic. Telcoin kind of sees the handwriting on the wall. And they're trying to make something that's not a stable coin, that's not going to take away from the banks earning money. So Telcoin's kind of working with the banks. You and me are kind of against the banks, right? These are just things to know. I can't tell you what to do. Risk it for the biscuit. Best show, faux show. So Todd sold out of Telcoin in his personal account, but kept it in his LLC. Maybe they're trying to shake us all out. I can't tell you what to do. This is a risk where you're going to have to... Man, hey, at least you're finding out early. I mean, it could be worse. There could be a crypto one day where they just fucking dump it and they use something else. They could have a paradigm shift. This is something where, no, I don't think, no, it's not the bank's money. It's a gas fee. The question is, the question is, why all of a sudden they make this brand new platform? Why all of a sudden now? Then on top of that, why'd they make a stablecoin deposit token put together? The other question is, will they still use Telcoin for gas? Because from what we read, they could use other platforms on this and have maybe a different settlement coin, a different gas token. So it's not the bank's money. So these are like 3 or 4 questions that just, I don't know. But see, I'm not the master business guy. I don't know. All of a sudden, last minute, this shit happens. I don't like that shit. Last minute stuff always gets you into trouble. Okay. So they weren't, that we know of, they hadn't invented this thing yet. Maybe they've had this for years and we just haven't known. These are all things. See, I can't make judgments. Where it gets dangerous is making judgments on shit you don't know. What you have to do is go with the facts. What you got to go with what you know. Now, sometimes you can bet and gamble and come out way ahead. I can't do that on this program. I got to give you solid facts. I can't speculate. I have to go with Crypto Hulk. What do you have evidence of? You guys are the ones that have to take gambles, okay? If you want to or not. I can't run my show on, oh yeah, I think this or I think that. No. My show, I have to bring up questions. Why would all of a sudden they release this token now? Have they invented this token 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago? And they were just waiting for it? Did they just make it up in the past year because they knew the Clarity Act probably would not pass, allowing you and me to have stablecoin yield? So in the past year, did they make this? Did they make this platform in crypto 5 years ago? I don't know. But all of a sudden now they're releasing this platform. We know now. I don't know how long ago this was made, but we know now they're releasing it. Right? We know now the Clarity's Act is not passing so far because of stablecoin yield, and all of a sudden this comes out. Interesting. Was this a backup they already made? Because they probably said, well, maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. When Coinbase delists Telcoin, then I'll sell. Ben says he thinks it's all bullshit for people to dump. Could be. Very well could be. I wanted to show you both sides of this because I can't take a side, honestly. I can't take a side on what do you do with this? I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like this. That's what I do know. So if you're a $200 member, you can call me, and if you have questions, and we can go over this. Some of you don't care. Some of you are just going to cut it in half and take the risk. Some of you will let it all ride and take the risk. It's whatever you think. If you're uncertain, you can call me and we'll go over it. I can tell you what I am thinking of doing, but again, that's from somebody who doesn't know what to do. So it doesn't really help you, right? I mean, you'll know what I do, but I'm just doing it because I don't know. We all have to take a risk. This is one where I don't have it in black and white. I don't have the user guide on what to do with this one. So this is going to be a tough decision. Some of you guys got some money. I've got some good money in this one. Let me tell you. The Telcoin, I've got some good money. I didn't see this one coming. Just like when the DTCC, like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, announces, we're going to run on Stellar. Then I was like, what? That just came out of nowhere. This just came out of nowhere. So you got to make your own decisions. My name is Crypto Hulk. I'm out of here. I'm going to let this go to the lower level channel right after this. I'll see you in the next one.